My wife doesn't want me to get pregnant through IVF because she doesn't want man's sperm in me, which really confuses me. My name is Emma, and I'm 27 years old. 7 years ago, in Copenhagen, my life changed in ways I could never have imagined. It was a vibrant city, full of life and possibilities, and I was a 20-year-old student, ready to embrace everything it had to offer. I was studying primary education, driven by my love for children and teaching. Little did I know that a simple party would introduce me to someone who would become the love of my life. It all started at a mutual friend's party during university. I had been hesitant to go, preferring quiet evenings with a book over loud gatherings. But a friend convinced me, insisting I needed to socialize more. The party was in a cozy apartment in central Copenhagen, filled with students laughing and chatting. I felt out of place, trying to find a corner where I could blend in with the background. That's when I noticed another girl doing the same. Her name was Sophia. She was standing alone on the balcony, looking at the city lights. Sophia had an air of quiet contemplation about her, as if she were lost in her own thoughts, away from the buzz of the party. Her dark hair fell in loose waves around her shoulders, and she wore a simple yet elegant dress that highlighted her natural beauty. There was something about her that drew me in, perhaps the way she seemed so comfortable in her solitude, or maybe it was the slight hint of a smile playing at the corners of her lips. I mustered the courage to join her. As I stepped onto the balcony, the cool night air embraced me, offering a welcome contrast to the warmth and noise inside. I greeted her, and she turned to look at me with curious dark eyes. Up close I could see the intelligence and warmth in her gaze. We exchanged a few polite words about the party and our mutual friend who had invited us. There was a natural ease to our conversation. A flow that felt both comforting and exciting. We started talking about our studies. Sophia was studying engineering, and as she spoke about her projects, her eyes lit up with passion. She described the challenges she faced in a male-dominated field and her determination to excel. I could see the dedication and drive in her, and it was inspiring. I shared my own experiences studying primary education, my love for teaching, and the joy I found in working with children. She listened intently, her genuine interest making me feel valued and understood. As we talked, I found myself drawn to her not just physically, but intellectually and emotionally. Sophia had a way of speaking that was both articulate and thoughtful. She expressed her ideas clearly and confidently, yet there was a humility about her that made her incredibly approachable. I admired her strength and the quiet resilience that seemed to underpin everything she did. We continued our conversation, moving from our studies to our future aspirations. Sophia spoke of her dreams to design sustainable energy solutions, hoping to make a difference in the world. I shared my hopes of becoming a teacher who could inspire and nurture young minds. There was a moment when our eyes met, and I felt a connection that was deeper than words. It was as if we had known each other for much longer than just a few minutes. The sounds of the party faded into the background as we became engrossed in our own little world. I felt completely at ease with Sophia, a sense of comfort and familiarity that was rare for me in social situations. She had a calming presence, and her thoughtful responses and insights made our conversation enriching and engaging. We eventually realized how much time had passed and decided to exchange contact information, not wanting to lose the connection we had just discovered. As I left the party that night, my mind was buzzing with thoughts of Sophia. There was something special about her, something that made me eager to see her again. After our initial meeting at the party, Sophia and I quickly became close friends. We started meeting up regularly, our favorite spots being cozy cafes and serene parks around Copenhagen. There was a quaint little cafe near our university that became our go-to place. It had an inviting atmosphere with warm lighting, comfortable chairs, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee lingering in the air. We would spend hours there, talking and laughing, losing track of time. Our conversations ranged from light-hearted topics to deeply personal stories. Sophia would share her experiences studying engineering, the challenges she faced as a woman in a male-dominated field, and her dreams of designing sustainable energy solutions. Her passion for her work was infectious, and I admired her determination and drive. I, in turn, talked about my love for teaching, the joys and frustrations of working with children, and my hopes of making a difference in young lives. Sophia listened intently, her genuine interest and encouragement making me feel valued and understood. We also bonded over our shared interests in classic literature and science fiction. We would recommend books to each other, discussing the characters and themes in great detail. There was something incredibly comforting about these shared moments, a sense of connection that went beyond words. As our friendship deepened, I started noticing the small quirks that made Sophia unique. The way she furrowed her brow when she was deep in thought, the soft chuckle that escaped her lips when she found something amusing, and the gentle way she would brush a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Each of these quirks made her more endearing to me. At the same time, Sophia seemed to appreciate my passion for teaching. She often told me how much she admired my dedication and the way I connected with my students. Her compliments meant a lot to me, and I found myself looking forward to our meetups more than anything else. As the months passed, my feelings for Sophia grew stronger. I found myself thinking about her constantly, my heart fluttering whenever we were together. I knew I had fallen in love with her, but the fear of ruining our friendship held me back. I was terrified that confessing my feelings would make things awkward between us, or worse, that she wouldn't feel the same way. One rainy afternoon, we were sitting in our favorite cafe. The soft jazz music playing in the background created a comforting atmosphere. I had been debating with myself for weeks, writing down my feelings in my journal, trying to muster the courage to tell her how I felt. My heart pounded as I decided to finally confess. "Sophia," I began, my voice trembling slightly. "There's something I need to tell you." She looked up from her coffee, her dark eyes filled with curiosity and concern. "I've been feeling this way for a while now, and I can't keep it to myself any longer. I love you. More than just a friend." As the words left my lips, a wave of anxiety washed over me. I expected the worst, but to my surprise, Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Not of sadness, but of joy. She reached out and took my hand, her touch sending a shiver down my spine. "I've been feeling the same way," she confessed, her voice soft but steady. "I've been so scared of ruining what we have and of how people might react. But I love you too, Emma." Her words filled me with a mix of relief and overwhelming happiness. We sat there, holding hands, both of us smiling through our tears. In that cozy cafe, surrounded by the warmth and familiarity of our favorite spot, we shared our first kiss. It was a moment of pure connection and happiness, marking the beginning of our romantic relationship. Our journey was far from easy. We faced societal judgments and prejudice. While Copenhagen was a relatively accepting city, there were still instances of discrimination and hostility. Some of our peers made hurtful comments, and there were moments when we felt the weight of societal expectations pressing down on us. However, we found solace in the acceptance of the local LGBT community, attending events and gatherings that made us feel embraced and understood. Family reactions were another hurdle. My family was immediately supportive. My parents especially were overjoyed and threw a small, intimate party to celebrate our love. They had always been open-minded and loving, and their acceptance meant the world to me. Sophia's family, on the other hand, was more reserved. Her mother was particularly concerned about societal judgment, and her father remained silent, needing time to process the news. Sophia's family, on the other hand, was more reserved. When she first came out to them and told them about our relationship, it was met with a mix of silence and concern. Her mother was particularly worried about societal judgment. She expressed fears about how the extended family and their small-town community would react. Her father remained silent, processing the news at his own pace. The first time I met Sophia's parents, I was incredibly nervous. Sophia had prepared me, explaining that they needed time to adjust. Her mother, Ingrid, greeted me politely but with noticeable hesitation. She was cordial but kept a certain distance. It was clear she was struggling with her own preconceptions and concerns about our relationship. Her father, Lars, was quiet, offering a firm handshake but saying very little. Over the following months we made several visits to her parents' home. Each time, I felt like we were slowly chipping away at a wall of discomfort and unfamiliarity. Ingrid would ask me questions about my family and my career plans. There were moments of awkward silence, but I tried to remain open and honest, hoping to show them how much I loved their daughter. The turning point came during one of these visits. We were having dinner, and the conversation turned to future plans. Sophia and I mentioned our hopes of getting married someday. Ingrid looked visibly uneasy, and Lars finally spoke up. He admitted that he had been struggling to understand and accept our relationship, not because he didn't want Sophia to be happy, but because it was so different from what he had envisioned for her. His honesty opened a door for genuine conversation. I shared with them how much Sophia meant to me and how committed I was to our future together. I expressed my respect for their family and my hope that they could come to accept and support us. It was a heartfelt and emotional discussion, and by the end of the evening, there was a noticeable shift in their attitude. They still had reservations, but they were beginning to see our relationship through a different lens. Ingrid started inviting me to more family gatherings, and her demeanor gradually softened. She began to ask more personal questions, showing genuine interest in my life and background. Lars, though still reserved, started to engage more during our visits. He shared stories from his own life, slowly building a connection with me. There were still moments of tension, especially when extended family members were involved. Some of Sophia's relatives were openly skeptical or disapproving, and it was clear that Ingrid and Lars were also navigating these external pressures. However, Sophia and I stood firm, supporting each other and maintaining open communication with her parents. Our involvement in the local LGBT community also played a role in bridging the gap. We invited Ingrid and Lars to attend a Pride event with us, hoping to show them the supportive and vibrant community we were part of. They agreed, albeit reluctantly. The event was an eye-opener for them. Seeing the love and acceptance among the attendees, and the positive atmosphere, seemed to have a profound impact on them. Ingrid later told us that the experience made her realize how much support we had and how important it was for us to be true to ourselves. She began to make an effort to understand our world better. We shared articles and books about LGBT issues with her, and she gradually became more educated and empathetic. Over time, their acceptance grew. Ingrid became more affectionate, treating me like part of the family. She would call me to check in and invite us over for dinner regularly. Lars remained quieter but showed his support in his own ways, helping us with practical matters, like fixing things in our apartment, and always being there when we needed advice. Living in Copenhagen, we also faced societal judgments from peers and strangers. There were occasional homophobic remarks and exclusion, but we stood strong together. These experiences, though painful, brought us closer. We learned to lean on each other for strength and support. We also became involved in activism, attending pride parades and advocating for LGBT rights. These activities empowered us and helped us build a network of supportive friends. 2 years into our relationship, we decided to move in together. It was an exciting step, filled with both joy and challenges. We found a small, cozy apartment that suited our needs. Decorating our new home was an adventure. My love for vintage decor clashed with Sophia's minimalist style, but we learned to compromise and create a space that reflected both our personalities. Living together brought us closer, but it also meant adjusting to each other's routines and habits. We had our share of small arguments over household responsibilities, but we always resolved them through open communication. When Sophia and I were together, every moment felt like an adventure. The excitement of discovering each other anew filled our days with joy. We were eager to make each moment special, and our early dating days were marked by romantic gestures that spoke volumes about our growing affection. Sophia had a knack for planning the perfect dates. One of our favorites was a picnic in a secluded spot she had found in one of Copenhagen's beautiful parks. She surprised me with a basket filled with my favorite foods: fresh bread, cheeses, fruit, and a bottle of wine. We spread a blanket under a large oak tree, its branches providing shade and a sense of intimacy. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and the soft hum of nearby chatter. We spent hours talking, laughing, and simply enjoying each other's company. The simplicity of the picnic made it all the more special, a perfect reflection of our blossoming love. Late-night walks became another cherished routine. After a long day, we would meet up and stroll through the quiet streets of Copenhagen, the city lights casting a warm glow on our path. The world seemed to slow down during these walks, giving us the space to connect on a deeper level. We would often end up by the waterfront, watching the moonlight dance on the waves. Sophia would hold my hand, and we would talk about our dreams, our fears, and our hopes for the future. Those walks were a time for us to be completely open with each other, free from distractions. Sophia's surprise dates were always a delight. One evening, she took me to an outdoor movie screening. It was a classic romantic film, and she had prepared a cozy setup with blankets and pillows. We sat under the stars, the cool night air wrapping around us as we watched the movie. The magic of the film, combined with the enchantment of being with Sophia, made it an unforgettable experience. She had a way of turning ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. As our relationship deepened, so did our trust. We began sharing our deeper insecurities and personal challenges, finding solace and strength in each other's support. I confided in Sophia about my fears of not being good enough as a teacher, my worries about failing my students, and the pressure I felt to live up to my own expectations. Sophia listened with patience and understanding, offering words of encouragement that bolstered my confidence. One of the major challenges we faced early on in our relationship was Sophia's struggle with sexism and homophobia at her engineering firm. It was a difficult time for her, and seeing her in pain was heart-wrenching. Sophia had always been passionate about her work, but the toxic environment was taking a toll on her mental health and self-esteem. She would come home exhausted and demoralized, the weight of her experiences evident in her eyes. Sophia confided in me about the specific incidents that made her feel isolated and undervalued. She spoke about the offhand remarks, the condescending attitudes, and the blatant discrimination she faced. One particularly painful incident involved a project she had been leading. Despite her expertise and hard work, a male colleague was given credit for her achievements. The frustration and hurt she felt were palpable, and I was determined to help her navigate through it. Together, we devised a plan to address these challenges. I encouraged Sophia to document the instances of discrimination and to seek support from her company's HR department. We researched her rights and found resources that could help her build a strong case. It wasn't easy, but Sophia's resilience and determination shone through. She confronted her superiors and demanded the respect she deserved. Her courage was inspiring, and I stood by her every step of the way. Our relationship grew stronger as we faced this adversity together. Sophia's fight against sexism and homophobia became a shared battle, one that united us in a profound way. I made sure she knew she wasn't alone, that I was there to support her unconditionally. Whether it was listening to her vent after a particularly tough day or helping her prepare for meetings with HR, I did everything I could to be her rock. In the midst of these challenges, we found strength and solidarity in the LGBT community. We decided to attend a pride parade together, hoping to draw strength from the collective power of the community. The parade was a vibrant and joyous celebration of love and acceptance. The streets were filled with people of all ages, genders, and backgrounds, united by a common cause. The atmosphere was electric, and the sense of belonging was overwhelming. As we marched together, hand in hand, I felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. The parade was a powerful reminder that we were part of something larger than ourselves, a community that stood together in the face of adversity. Sophia and I cheered, danced, and celebrated our love openly, surrounded by people who understood our struggles and supported our journey. The Pride Parade strengthened our bond and gave us the courage to continue fighting for what was right. It reminded us that we were not alone, that we had allies and a supportive network behind us. The sense of solidarity and empowerment we felt that day carried over into our everyday lives, giving us the strength to face any challenge that came our way. Back in our everyday lives, we continued to support each other through the highs and lows. Sophia's determination and resilience paid off, and she began to see positive changes at work. Her superiors started to recognize her contributions, and she found allies among her colleagues who supported her fight for equality. It was a slow process, but the progress she made was a testament to her strength and perseverance. Our relationship flourished as we navigated these challenges together. The trust and support we built during this time laid a strong foundation for our future. We learned to communicate openly, to lean on each other during tough times, and to celebrate each other's successes. The weekend getaway that Sophia planned was a complete surprise. She had hinted for weeks about a special trip, building my anticipation and curiosity. On the Friday morning of our departure, she packed the car with supplies, and we set off on a drive away from the city's hustle and bustle. The urban landscape gradually gave way to rolling hills and serene countryside, and I felt a sense of peace wash over me as we left the familiar sights behind. After a few hours, we arrived at our destination, a secluded beach. The scene was breathtakingly beautiful, with golden sand stretching out to meet the gentle waves of the sea. It was a private spot, away from the usual tourist trails, offering a perfect escape from the world. Sophia had chosen a location that was not just picturesque but also incredibly peaceful, a place where we could truly relax and enjoy each other's company. We spent the first day exploring the coastline, collecting seashells and swimming in the clear, cool water. Sophia had packed a picnic basket filled with our favorite foods, fresh bread, cheeses, fruit, and a bottle of wine. We spread a blanket under a large oak tree near the beach, enjoying a leisurely meal while the sound of the waves provided a soothing soundtrack. The simplicity of the picnic made it all the more special, a perfect reflection of our relationship. That evening we sat by a campfire, roasting marshmallows and talking about everything and nothing. The stars above us were bright and numerous, and the moon cast a silver glow over the water. The ambiance was magical, and I felt incredibly lucky to be sharing this moment with Sophia. On the last night of our getaway, Sophia suggested we take a walk along the shore. The sun had set, and the sky was a deep indigo, dotted with countless stars. The moonlight reflected off the water, creating a shimmering pathway along the waves. We walked hand in hand, the cool sand beneath our feet, the gentle breeze carrying the scent of the ocean. Sophia led me to a spot where she had laid out a blanket and some pillows, creating a cozy setup for stargazing. We settled down, and she pointed out constellations, sharing stories and myths associated with them. I was entranced by the beauty of the night sky and the thoughtfulness of Sophia's planning. She had always known how to make me feel special and loved, and tonight was no exception. After a while, Sophia told me she had a small surprise for me. She handed me a seashell, its pearly surface glistening in the moonlight. I opened it, expecting to find a simple token or perhaps a note. Instead, nestled inside the shell was a delicate ring, its design intricate and elegant, perfectly capturing Sophia's taste and thoughtfulness. I looked up at Sophia, my heart pounding with surprise and emotion. She took my hands in hers, her eyes filled with love and sincerity. Her voice was steady despite the emotion evident in her eyes as she spoke. "Emma, you mean everything to me. I can't imagine my life without you. You've been my rock, my confidant, and my greatest love. Will you marry me?" Tears of joy streamed down my face as I realized the magnitude of the moment. I felt an overwhelming rush of happiness and love. The world seemed to fade away, leaving just the two of us in that perfect magical moment. I could see the depth of her feelings in her eyes, and I knew without a doubt that this was where I belonged. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, Sophia, I will marry you." The relief and joy on Sophia's face mirrored my own. We embraced, holding each other tightly, both of us overwhelmed by the intensity of our feelings. The love and connection we shared felt more profound than ever before. Our first kiss as an engaged couple was tender and filled with promise, sealing our commitment to each other. We spent the rest of the evening on the beach, talking about our future and dreaming of the life we would build together. The stars seemed to shine brighter that night, as if they were celebrating with us. Sophia had brought a small bottle of champagne, and we toasted to our future, clinking our glasses as we sat on the blanket, the sound of the waves providing a soothing background. The following morning, we watched the sunrise together, sitting wrapped in a blanket, our fingers intertwined. The sky gradually changed from dark blue to hues of pink and orange, signaling the start of a new day and a new chapter in our lives. We were filled with a sense of hope and excitement, knowing that we were stepping into the future together. As we packed up and prepared to leave the beach, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. From our first meeting at a friend's party to this incredible moment of engagement, our journey has been filled with love, challenges, and growth. Sophia's proposal was the perfect culmination of our relationship, a testament to the deep bond we shared and the unbreakable commitment we had to each other. The drive back to Copenhagen was filled with laughter and joy. We talked about our engagement, the wedding we would plan, and the life we envisioned together. The excitement and anticipation of what lay ahead made the journey seem shorter, and before we knew it, we were back home, ready to share our news with friends and family. The engagement marked the beginning of an exciting and somewhat stressful period of wedding planning. Sophia and I were determined to create a day that truly reflected our love and values, blending traditional elements with modern inclusive touches. We quickly realized that planning a wedding was not just about choosing flowers and venues but also about navigating family dynamics and societal expectations. Sophia's family had come a long way since she first came out to them. Her parents, Ingrid and Lars, had grown to accept and support our relationship, but there were still moments of hesitation and uncertainty. They wanted to be involved in the wedding planning, and their support meant a lot to us. However, they sometimes struggled with the idea of a non-traditional wedding. On the other hand, my family was enthusiastic and eager to help from the start. My parents especially were thrilled about the wedding and offered their assistance in any way they could. My mother took on the role of chief planner, coordinating meetings and helping us make decisions. Her excitement was contagious, and her organizational skills were invaluable. Bringing both families together for planning sessions was an interesting experience. There were differences in opinions and expectations, but it was heartening to see everyone working towards a common goal. We had many discussions around the dining table, sipping coffee and brainstorming ideas. Ingrid and Lars slowly opened up, sharing their thoughts and suggestions. They wanted the wedding to be a beautiful and memorable day, and their input, though sometimes traditional, was rooted in a genuine desire to support us. One of the main challenges we faced was balancing traditional wedding customs with our desire for a modern, inclusive ceremony. We wanted our wedding to reflect who we were as individuals and as a couple, which meant incorporating elements that were meaningful to us while respecting the customs and traditions that our families held dear. We decided on a garden wedding, a perfect blend of natural beauty and elegance. The botanical garden we chose was stunning, with lush greenery and vibrant flowers providing a picturesque backdrop. However, planning an outdoor ceremony came with its own set of challenges, such as weather concerns and logistics. Traditional customs, such as walking down the aisle and the exchange of vows, were important to us, but we wanted to put our own twist on them. We decided to walk down the aisle together, symbolizing our partnership and equality. This decision was met with mixed reactions. While my family embraced the idea, Sophia's parents were initially unsure. They had envisioned a more traditional procession, but after some discussions, they came around and supported our choice. Writing our own vows was another way we personalized our ceremony. We spent many evenings crafting words that truly reflected our journey and our commitment to each other. It was a deeply emotional process, filled with tears and laughter, as we revisited memories and expressed our hopes for the future. Sharing these intimate promises in front of our loved ones was incredibly important to us. Navigating the guest list was another challenge. We wanted to invite those who had supported us throughout our relationship, but we also had to consider family expectations. Sophia's extended family included some conservative members who had been less than supportive. Deciding whether to invite them was difficult, but ultimately, we chose to surround ourselves with people who genuinely cared for and supported us. Throughout the planning process, we were overwhelmed by the support and love from our friends and family. Our close friends rallied around us, offering their time and talents to make our wedding special. A friend who was a graphic designer created beautiful invitations and programs, incorporating a subtle rainbow motif that celebrated our pride and love. Another friend, a talented musician, offered to perform at the ceremony, adding a personal touch to our special day. Our families, despite their initial reservations, came together in ways we hadn't expected. My mother and Ingrid formed an unlikely bond over wedding preparations, spending hours discussing flower arrangements and decorations. Lars, who had been more reserved, took on the task of handling logistics, ensuring everything ran smoothly. As the wedding day approached, the sense of unity and support grew stronger. Our friends organized a pre-wedding celebration, a mix of traditional and modern elements, that brought everyone together in a joyous and relaxed atmosphere. It was a beautiful reminder of the love and community that surrounded us. The day of the wedding dawned clear and bright, with a gentle breeze rustling the leaves in the botanical garden. Sophia and I woke up feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. We had planned and prepared for this day for months, and now it was finally here. The garden was transformed into a magical setting, with flowers and decorations that reflected our personalities and love. The ceremony took place in a secluded part of the garden, under a large oak tree. White chairs were arranged in rows, adorned with delicate floral arrangements. A beautiful arch made of intertwined branches and flowers stood at the front, framing the spot where we would exchange our vows. We decided to walk down the aisle together, hand in hand. As we made our way through the garden path, the string quartet played our favorite song, creating an enchanting atmosphere. The sight of our friends and family, smiling and teary-eyed, filled us with a deep sense of love and gratitude. Our officiant, a close friend who had been with us from the beginning, welcomed everyone and spoke about the journey that had brought us to this moment. She highlighted the importance of love, commitment, and the courage it took to be true to ourselves. Her words were heartfelt and touching, setting the perfect tone for the ceremony. When it was time for our vows, Sophia and I faced each other, our hands clasped tightly. We took turns reading the promises we had written, our voices trembling with emotion. Sophia spoke about the strength and resilience she saw in me, the joy I brought into her life, and her commitment to stand by my side through everything. I shared my gratitude for her unwavering support, her kindness, and the deep connection we shared. As we spoke, there wasn't a dry eye among our guests. The emotional weight of our promises, coupled with the beauty of the setting, made the moment incredibly powerful. One of the highlights of the ceremony was a surprise musical performance by a friend who had known us since college. She sang a song that held special meaning for us, her voice carrying through the garden and adding a magical touch to the proceedings. It was a moment of pure beauty, and the love and effort she put into her performance touched our hearts deeply. Following the ceremony, we moved to a tented area for the reception. The tent was decorated with fairy lights and colorful flowers, creating a warm and inviting atmosphere. Each table had a small booklet that shared our love story, from our first meeting to the proposal, allowing guests to reminisce and celebrate our journey with us. The meal was a blend of our favorite foods, with a focus on local and sustainable ingredients. We wanted the reception to feel like a big, joyous family dinner, and the warm communal atmosphere made everyone feel included and cherished. As a special touch, we included a dessert bar featuring treats from both our cultures, a sweet nod to our backgrounds. The speeches were another memorable part of the reception. Our friends and family shared stories and well wishes, their words filled with humor and love. A close friend, who had been there since the beginning of our relationship, gave a particularly moving speech that had everyone laughing and crying in equal measure. Their words were a beautiful reminder of the journey we had taken and the support we had along the way. Dancing under the stars was a magical experience. We had hired a DJ who played a mix of our favorite songs, and the dance floor was never empty. We shared our first dance as a married couple to a song that held special meaning for us, and as we moved together, it felt like the world melted away, leaving just the two of us in that perfect moment. One of the most profound aspects of our wedding was the act of publicly declaring our love despite societal prejudices. There were moments of fear and uncertainty leading up to the wedding, worries about how some guests might react or whether we would face judgment. But standing there, surrounded by the people who mattered most, those fears faded away. The overwhelming support and love from our friends and family reaffirmed our belief in the power of love and community. Our wedding wasn't just a celebration of our relationship, it was a testament to the progress we had made and the acceptance we had found. It was a beautiful and empowering experience, one that reminded us of the importance of being true to ourselves and standing up for what we believed in. As the evening came to a close, we took a moment to step away from the festivities and reflect on the day. We stood together, looking out at the twinkling lights and the joyful faces of our guests. It had been a day filled with love, laughter, and memorable moments, a perfect start to the rest of our lives together. Our wedding was everything we had hoped for and more. It was a day filled with love, support, and joy, a celebration not just of our relationship but of the community and the journey that had brought us together. As we looked around at our friends and family, dancing and laughing under the twinkling lights, we felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and happiness. It was the perfect start to the rest of our lives together. After the excitement and whirlwind of our wedding, Sophia and I settled into our life as a married couple. The transition from engaged to married life was a beautiful journey of establishing new routines and planning for our future together. Each day brought a new sense of comfort and familiarity, deepening our bond and strengthening our commitment. One of the first things we did was to create a space that truly felt like home. We had been living together for a few years, but now, as a married couple, there was a renewed sense of purpose in making our apartment a reflection of us. We spent weekends rearranging furniture, adding personal touches, and filling our home with items that brought us joy. Sophia's minimalist style and my love for vintage decor blended seamlessly, creating a cozy and inviting space that we both loved. Establishing routines was a natural next step. We both had busy schedules, but we made it a priority to carve out time for each other. Mornings became our sacred time, a peaceful start to the day before the rush of work. We would sit together over breakfast, sipping coffee and discussing our plans for the day. These quiet moments of connection set a positive tone and made the hectic days more manageable. Evenings were dedicated to unwinding and reconnecting. Sophia often came home tired from her demanding job in engineering, and I would try to make her transition home as relaxing as possible. We developed a routine of cooking dinner together, experimenting with new recipes and enjoying the simple pleasure of a home-cooked meal. Cooking became a shared activity that allowed us to bond and de-stress. We would chat about our day, sharing both the highlights and the challenges. Weekends were our time to explore and have fun. We loved discovering new parts of Copenhagen, visiting museums, parks, and cafes. We also made it a point to continue with our late-night walks, a tradition that had started early in our relationship. These walks were a way for us to stay connected, to talk about our dreams and plans, and to simply enjoy each other's company. As we settled into our married life, our careers also began to flourish. Sophia's dedication and hard work at her engineering firm did not go unnoticed. Despite the challenges she faced early on, she persevered and made significant strides in her field. Her resilience and expertise earned her the respect of her colleagues and superiors. One of the most significant milestones was when Sophia was promoted to a senior engineering position. The promotion was a recognition of her technical skills, leadership abilities, and the innovative projects she had spearheaded. It was a well-deserved achievement, and I was incredibly proud of her. The promotion also brought new responsibilities and challenges, but Sophia faced them with her characteristic determination and grace. With her new role, Sophia's work schedule became even more demanding. There were late nights and occasional weekends at the office, but we made it work. We communicated openly about our needs and supported each other through the busy times. Sophia's promotion also meant a better financial situation for us, allowing us to save more for our future goals. Meanwhile, my career as a primary school teacher was also reaching new heights. I had always been passionate about teaching, and my dedication to my students was unwavering. The recognition came when I was awarded Teacher of the Year at my school. It was an honor that filled me with immense pride and gratitude. The award was a testament to my hard work and the positive impact I had on my students. It was a reminder of why I loved teaching and the difference I could make in young lives. The award also brought new opportunities, including an invitation to speak at educational conferences and the chance to mentor new teachers. Balancing our successful careers with our personal life required effort and commitment. We made it a priority to celebrate each other's achievements and to support one another during challenging times. When Sophia had a big presentation or a critical project deadline, I would make sure to be extra supportive, taking on more household responsibilities and providing emotional encouragement. Similarly, when I was preparing for a conference or dealing with a particularly tough school day, Sophia was there to lift my spirits and offer her unwavering support. With our careers on solid ground, we began to think more seriously about our future. We had always talked about the possibility of starting a family, and now that we were married and more established, those conversations became more concrete. We explored different options, including adoption and surrogacy, and had many heartfelt discussions about what would be best for us. We also set financial goals, creating a plan to save for a house. While we loved our apartment, we dreamed of having a home with more space and a garden where we could enjoy outdoor activities. We started a savings fund and carefully managed our finances to make this dream a reality. Travel was another shared passion, and we made a list of places we wanted to visit together. From exploring the historic cities of Europe to relaxing on tropical beaches, our travel plans were a way to create lasting memories and experience new adventures. We scheduled annual vacations, making sure to take time off from our busy schedules to recharge and reconnect. Our involvement in the LGBT community also remained an important part of our lives. We continued to participate in Pride events, advocate for LGBT rights, and support local organizations. Our commitment to the community was a source of strength and pride, and we were determined to give back and make a positive impact. Of course, life wasn't without its challenges. There were moments of stress and tension, times when the demands of work and personal life felt overwhelming. We faced misunderstandings and disagreements, but our strong foundation of communication and trust helped us navigate these rough patches. One particular challenge was managing the expectations of our extended families. While our parents were supportive, there were still moments of tension, especially during holidays and family gatherings. Balancing time between both families and managing differing opinions required patience and understanding. We made it a point to communicate openly with our families, setting boundaries when necessary and ensuring that our relationship remained a priority. Another challenge was dealing with societal prejudices. Despite the progress that had been made, there were still instances of discrimination and bias. Whether it was insensitive comments or more overt acts of homophobia, these experiences were painful. However, we faced them together, finding strength in each other and in our community. Through it all, our love and commitment to each other only grew stronger. We learned to navigate life's ups and downs as a team, supporting each other and celebrating our successes together. Our shared experiences, both good and challenging, deepened our connection and reinforced the foundation of our relationship. One of the most profound lessons we learned was the importance of making time for each other. Despite our busy schedules, we prioritize our relationship, making sure to have regular date nights and moments of connection. Whether it was a weekend getaway, a simple dinner at home, or a spontaneous adventure, these moments were essential in keeping our relationship strong and vibrant. We also continued to nurture our individual passions and interests. Sophia pursued further studies in sustainable engineering, attending workshops and conferences to stay at the forefront of her field. I took on new projects at school, developing innovative teaching methods and collaborating with colleagues to enhance the educational experience for our students. Our journey as a married couple was filled with love, growth, and endless possibilities. We faced challenges with resilience and embraced opportunities with enthusiasm. The routines we established, the milestones we achieved, and the dreams we pursued were all part of the beautiful tapestry of our life together. After a few years of settling into married life, Sophia and I began to seriously discuss the idea of starting a family. It was a topic we had touched upon many times before, but now it felt like the right time to delve deeper. We spent countless nights lying in bed, imagining our home filled with the laughter and chaos of children. The idea of becoming parents excited and terrified us in equal measure. Our conversations were filled with dreams and hopes. We talked about the kind of parents we wanted to be, the values we hoped to instill in our children, and the adventures we would have as a family. Sophia imagined teaching our children about science and engineering, fostering their curiosity and creativity. I envisioned reading bedtime stories and planning educational outings, nurturing their love for learning. As we delved deeper into our discussions, we realized that there were many practical considerations to address. We needed to explore the various options available to us as a same-sex couple. Adoption, surrogacy, and IVF were all possibilities, each with its own set of challenges and rewards. We began our research by attending seminars and informational sessions. There were numerous organizations and support groups dedicated to helping LGBT couples navigate the process of starting a family. We met with doctors, legal experts, and other couples who had gone through similar journeys. These meetings were incredibly informative and provided us with a wealth of knowledge and resources. Adoption was one of the first options we considered. We attended several adoption seminars and met with agencies that specialized in placing children with same-sex couples. The idea of providing a loving home for a child in need was deeply appealing to both of us. However, the process was long and complex, involving extensive paperwork, background checks, and a waiting period that could stretch for years. We also learned that there were legal hurdles to navigate, especially when adopting internationally. Surrogacy was another option we explored. We met with several surrogacy agencies and spoke with surrogates who had helped other couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. The idea of having a biological connection to our child was important to us, and surrogacy seemed like a viable path. However, it was also an expensive and emotionally taxing process. We would need to find a surrogate who was a good match, navigate the legal aspects, and be prepared for the financial investment. IVF was another option on the table, and we attended several consultations with fertility specialists. The medical professionals explained the process in detail, including the use of donor sperm. The idea of IVF intrigued us, but it also brought up a host of emotions and concerns. As we delved deeper into the IVF discussions, I began to notice a growing discomfort in Sophia. At first, she didn't say much, but I could sense her unease. During one of our consultations, she finally voiced her concerns. Sophia expressed discomfort with the idea of using donor sperm, saying she didn't want a man's cum in me. Her words took me by surprise, and I almost laughed at the absurdity of it, but I quickly realized she was serious. I tried to understand her perspective, but I felt hurt and confused. To me, IVF seemed like a simple and logical solution to our desire to have a child. The science was clear, the success rates were promising, and many same-sex couples had successfully used IVF to start their families. I couldn't comprehend why Sophia was so opposed to it, especially since we both understood the medical aspects very well. I would lie awake at night, replaying our conversations in my mind, trying to piece together why she felt this way. I felt a growing sense of frustration and helplessness. It seemed like every time we made progress, we were met with another roadblock. I wanted to support Sophia, but I also felt that she was being unreasonable and overly cautious about something that should be straightforward. Our arguments often ended in frustration and tears. The same points would be raised again and again, with neither of us feeling heard or understood. I would try to present the logical aspects, the statistics, the safety, and the success stories of other couples. Sophia, however, would respond with her emotional and psychological concerns. Sophia tried to explain that it wasn't just about the physical aspect of IVF. She spoke about her deeper feelings of discomfort and unease. She worried about the implications of using donor sperm and the potential emotional impact on our family. She was concerned about how the child might feel about their origins and the possible identity issues they might face. I struggled to understand these concerns. To me, it felt like Sophia was overcomplicating something that should be straightforward. I would counter her arguments with practical solutions, suggesting we could be open and honest with our child about their conception, provide them with all the love and support they needed, and ensure they felt secure in their identity. The emotional toll of these discussions was significant. I felt like we were on a constant roller coaster, with moments of hope quickly followed by despair. There were times when I felt like giving up, wondering if we would ever find a resolution that worked for both of us. I questioned whether we were ready for the challenges of parenthood if we couldn't even agree on the first step. I also felt a deep sense of isolation. It seemed like no one else could fully understand the complexity of our situation. Friends and family offered support, but their well-meaning advice often missed the mark. They didn't grasp the intricacies of our emotional and psychological struggles, and their suggestions sometimes felt dismissive of Sophia's concerns. During one particularly intense argument, Sophia broke down and shared more about her fears. She felt like the process of IVF was invasive and that it imposed traditional gender roles on our relationship. She had spent her entire career fighting against sexism and homophobia, and the idea of using donor sperm felt like another way in which societal norms were being imposed on us. She worried about the dynamics it would create within our family and how it might affect our child's sense of identity. Our arguments often ended in frustration and tears. Sophia tried to explain that it wasn't just about the physical aspect of IVF, but also about her deeper feelings of discomfort and unease. She worried about the implications of using donor sperm and the potential emotional impact on our family. I struggled to understand these concerns, feeling like she was overcomplicating something that should be straightforward. The tension began to take a toll on our relationship. We had always been able to communicate openly and support each other through challenges, but this issue seemed to create a rift between us. I felt like Sophia was being irrational and stubborn, while she felt like I wasn't respecting her feelings and concerns. Desperate to find a resolution, we decided to seek counseling. We found a therapist who specialized in working with LGBT couples and booked our first session. The counseling sessions provided a safe space for us to express our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Our therapist helped us unpack the layers of our conflict, exploring the deeper fears and insecurities that were driving our reactions. Through counseling, I began to understand that Sophia's discomfort with IVF wasn't just about the physical process. It was rooted in her feelings about traditional gender roles and societal expectations. She had spent her entire career fighting against sexism and homophobia, and the idea of using donor sperm felt like another way in which societal norms were being imposed on us. She worried about the implications for our family dynamics and the potential for judgment from others. Understanding Sophia's perspective helped me to see the issue in a new light. I realized that her concerns were valid and that we needed to find a solution that respected both of our feelings. We continued to attend counseling sessions, working through our emotions and finding ways to support each other. One breakthrough moment came when Sophia admitted that she felt pressured to conform to traditional notions of family and parenthood. She felt like she was being forced into a role that didn't align with her identity and values. Hearing this helped me to empathize with her struggle and to see that her opposition to IVF was about more than just the physical process. Hearing this, I began to see the issue in a new light. Sophia's discomfort wasn't just about the medical procedure, it was about the deeper implications and her struggle against societal expectations. She felt pressured to conform to traditional notions of family and parenthood, and that pressure was causing her significant distress. Realizing the depth of Sophia's feelings, I suggested we seek counseling. We found a therapist who specialized in working with LGBT couples and began attending sessions. The counseling sessions provided a safe space for us to express our thoughts and emotions without judgment. Our therapist helped us unpack the layers of our conflict, exploring the deeper fears and insecurities that were driving our reactions. Through counseling, I began to understand that Sophia's discomfort with IVF was not something to be dismissed. It was a legitimate concern rooted in her experiences and values. The process of working through our conflict in therapy was enlightening and healing. We learned to communicate more openly and to respect each other's feelings. After many months of discussions, counseling sessions, and emotional highs and lows, we finally found a path that felt right for both of us. We decided to pursue surrogacy using both of our eggs and a known sperm donor. This approach allowed us to have a biological connection to our child while respecting Sophia's discomfort with traditional IVF. The decision brought a sense of relief and renewed hope. We felt that we had found a solution that honored our individual needs and our shared vision for our family. We began the process by reaching out to a close friend who had previously expressed a willingness to be a sperm donor. His name was Mark, a longtime friend from our university days. Mark had always been supportive of our relationship and understood the unique challenges we faced. We invited him over for dinner, intending to discuss our hopes and concerns openly. The dinner was filled with nervous anticipation. As we settled into the cozy ambiance of our living room, we explained our decision to pursue surrogacy and why we felt Mark would be the ideal donor. We emphasized that his role would be more than just a donor. He would be part of our extended family, playing a significant role in our child's life. We discussed our hopes for the future and the kind of relationship we envisioned him having with our child. Mark listened intently, nodding thoughtfully as we spoke. He then shared his thoughts, expressing his admiration for our courage and commitment. He agreed to help us in our journey to parenthood, stating that he felt honored to be part of something so meaningful. His support and understanding were incredibly reassuring, and it felt like a significant step forward in our journey. With Mark on board, our next step was to find a surrogate. We worked with a surrogacy agency that specialized in matching couples with surrogates who shared their values and vision. The agency was known for its rigorous selection process, ensuring that surrogates were well-informed, healthy, and genuinely committed to helping couples achieve their dreams of parenthood. Our case manager, Sarah, guided us through the process. She provided profiles of potential surrogates, each with detailed information about their backgrounds, motivations, and health. We spent countless hours reviewing these profiles, hoping to find someone who resonated with us. After several interviews, we found a wonderful surrogate named Laura. Meeting Laura for the first time was a heartwarming experience. She had a warm smile and an easygoing demeanor that immediately put us at ease. Laura shared her reasons for becoming a surrogate, explaining that she wanted to help couples like us, because she believed in the importance of family and wanted to give the gift of parenthood to those who couldn't achieve it on their own. We felt an instant connection with Laura. She was kind, empathetic, and genuinely excited to help us bring our child into the world. We spent several meetings discussing our expectations, hopes, and concerns. Laura's openness and sincerity reassured us that she was the right person to join us on this journey. The legal and medical aspects of surrogacy were complex, but we navigated them with the support of our agency and legal advisors. The first step was to create a detailed surrogacy agreement that outlined everyone's rights and responsibilities. This agreement was crucial to ensure that all parties were protected and that there was a clear understanding of the process. Our legal advisor, Emily, was experienced in surrogacy law and guided us through the intricacies of the agreement. We discussed every aspect in detail, from medical procedures to financial arrangements, to the involvement of the surrogate in our child's life. The goal was to create a comprehensive document that addressed all potential scenarios and ensured that everyone felt secure and respected. However, our sense of anticipation and joy was abruptly disrupted by our parents' reactions when we shared our plans with them. We had expected some questions and perhaps a bit of discomfort given their traditional views, but nothing could have prepared us for the intensity of their opposition. The first confrontation came during a dinner at my parents' house. We had planned a special evening to share our news, hoping that the joyful atmosphere would help them embrace our decision. As we sat around the dinner table, Sophia and I carefully explained our journey so far, the consultations, the legal preparations, and our connection with Laura. My parents listened quietly at first, their expressions growing more strained as we spoke. My father was the first to break the silence. "I don't understand why you can't just do it the natural way," he said, his voice laced with confusion and disappointment. "One of you should be carrying the child. It seems so impersonal, having someone else do it." His words stung. I had anticipated some resistance, but his outright rejection felt like a blow. I tried to explain our reasoning again, emphasizing Sophia's discomfort with IVF and our desire to find a solution that felt right for both of us. But my father was unmoved. My mother, who had been silent until then, chimed in. "We thought we'd see you with a baby bump, Emma. We thought it would be a part of you. Surrogacy feels so detached, so clinical." A similar confrontation occurred when we spoke to Sophia's parents via a video call. We had hoped that explaining everything in detail would help them understand, but Ingrid's voice trembled with emotion as she expressed her disapproval. "This isn't how we imagined becoming grandparents. We thought one of you would carry the baby. It feels so detached, having a surrogate." Lars, usually more reserved, was visibly upset. "Why go through all this when you can just carry the child yourselves? It doesn't make sense to us." The discussions quickly escalated into heated arguments. Both sets of parents were adamant that surrogacy was not the right choice for us. They brought up concerns about the emotional bond between us and our future child, societal perceptions, and their own expectations of what family should look like. They couldn't understand why we would choose a path that seemed so unconventional and complicated to them. Our parents' arguments were emotionally charged and often harsh. They accused us of taking the easy way out, of not considering the emotional implications for the child, and of disregarding their feelings and expectations. It was heartbreaking to hear such accusations from people we loved and respected. Sophia tried to explain our reasons and the emotional journey that had led us to choose surrogacy. She spoke about her discomfort with IVF and how surrogacy felt like the best solution for us. But our parents were unmoved. They viewed our decision as an abandonment of traditional family values. The arguments became more intense, with accusations and harsh words flying back and forth. I felt caught in the middle, trying to mediate between Sophia and our parents, but it was clear that we were facing a deep and painful divide. The hurt and frustration on both sides were evident, and it felt like we were stuck in an impasse. The emotional toll of these conflicts was significant. Sophia and I found ourselves questioning our decision and feeling torn between our own desires and our parents' expectations. The stress and strain of these confrontations affected our daily lives, leading to sleepless nights and tense conversations. I felt a profound sense of betrayal and disappointment. I had always imagined that our parents would support us unconditionally, but their harsh words and rigid stances made me question everything. I struggled with feelings of guilt and anger, torn between wanting to make them happy and staying true to what felt right for us. Sophia, who had already battled significant emotional turmoil over IVF, was deeply hurt by the lack of support from our families. She felt misunderstood and isolated, her fears and concerns dismissed as irrational. The pressure from our parents to conform to traditional notions of family and pregnancy only added to her distress. After the intense argument at home, Sophia and I decided to temporarily stop our surrogacy plans. The conflicts with our parents and the emotional strain it placed on us were too overwhelming to continue without a pause. The decision to take a break felt like a relief but also left a void. Our dreams of starting a family were put on hold, and the uncertainty weighed heavily on us. We tried to focus on our work to distract ourselves from the emotional turmoil. Sophia threw herself into her projects at the engineering firm, taking on more responsibilities and working late into the evenings. Her promotion had brought new challenges, and she channeled her energy into excelling in her role. I immersed myself in my teaching career, preparing lessons, and spending extra time with my students. While work provided a temporary escape, the unresolved issue of starting a family lingered in the background. The conflict over starting a family became an increasingly pressing issue between Sophia and me. Despite all our love and the depth of our relationship, this one topic seemed insurmountable. I had tried to bring it up multiple times, hoping for a breakthrough, but every discussion ended the same way. Sophia repeated her discomfort with IVF and the idea of using donor sperm, but her explanations never seemed to go beyond that. It felt so irrational to me. I was trying to be understanding and patient, but I was reaching my limit. Sophia's stance felt like a barrier I couldn't penetrate. She would say she didn't want a man's cum in me, and that would be the end of it. I tried to delve deeper, to understand her underlying fears and concerns, but she would shut down or deflect. It was incredibly frustrating. I couldn't understand why she was being so resistant to something that seemed like a logical and effective solution to our desire for a family. What made it even more confusing was how loving and kind Sophia was in every other aspect of our life. She was attentive, affectionate, and went out of her way to make me happy. She cooked my favorite meals, planned surprise dates, and was there for me emotionally in every way. It was like she was compensating for the tension around our family planning discussions by being extra attentive in other areas. This only added to my confusion and frustration. I felt like I was living in two parallel worlds. One where our relationship was perfect, and another where we were stuck in an endless loop of disagreement and misunderstanding. I tried to bring up the topic gently, avoiding pushing too hard to not come off as annoying or demanding. I would mention it casually during our evening walks or while we were cuddling on the couch. But each time, Sophia's response was the same. She would reiterate her discomfort, and the conversation would stall. I began to feel like I was hitting a brick wall. It wasn't that Sophia was refusing to talk about it. She would engage in the conversation, but it always ended at the same point. I asked her if she didn't want children right now, suggesting that maybe we were rushing the process. I wanted to reassure her that we didn't have to make any decisions immediately, and that we could take our time. But Sophia insisted that she did want children. Her words and her actions were at odds, and I couldn't reconcile the two. The emotional toll of this unresolved conflict was heavy. I loved Sophia deeply and wanted to understand her, but I felt shut out. I was in a state of constant confusion and frustration. Every time I tried to make sense of her feelings, I ended up more baffled. It was as if she was keeping a part of herself locked away, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't reach it. Sophia's kindness and affection made it even harder. She was doing everything she could to show her love for me, but it felt like a distraction from the real issue. I appreciated her efforts, but it didn't solve the problem. Instead, it made me feel guilty for pushing her on the subject of children. I wondered if I was being unreasonable or if I was missing something important. I found myself questioning everything. Did Sophia really want children, or was she just saying that to avoid disappointing me? Was there something deeper that she wasn't sharing? I knew her so well, yet in this one crucial aspect, I felt like I didn't know her at all. It was a painful realization. The persistent disagreement with Sophia and my own feelings of inadequacy led to a period of intense self-doubt and reflection. I spent countless hours thinking about our situation, trying to understand Sophia's perspective while grappling with my own emotions. I questioned whether I was being unreasonable or if there was something more I could do to bridge the gap between us. Sharing my feelings with others was a challenge. I wanted to talk to my friends and family about the conflict, but I was afraid of offending anyone or making the situation worse. I felt trapped between my desire to resolve the issue and my fear of causing more pain. The weight of the unresolved conflict was a constant burden, and I often found myself lying awake at night, consumed by worry and uncertainty. Work became my refuge during this difficult time. I threw myself into my teaching career with renewed vigor, finding solace in the familiar routines and the joy of working with my students. I volunteered for extra projects, attended professional development workshops, and even started a new after-school program focused on creative writing. The satisfaction of making a difference in my students' lives provided a temporary reprieve from my personal struggles. Sophia also found solace in her work. Her engineering projects were demanding and required her full attention, which helped her cope with the emotional strain at home. She achieved several milestones in her career, earning accolades and recognition from her peers and superiors. While her professional success was gratifying, it also highlighted the growing distance between us as we each dealt with our personal pain in different ways. Despite my best efforts to cope and find a resolution, the conflict between Sophia and me remained unresolved. The surrogacy plans that had once filled us with hope and excitement now seemed like a distant dream. Our relationship, once so strong and resilient, was strained to its breaking point. Sophia's persistence in maintaining her opinion on IVF was both admirable and frustrating. I admired her for standing by her beliefs and values, but I also felt deeply hurt that she couldn't compromise. My feelings of helplessness and inadequacy grew stronger, and I began to question whether our relationship could survive this level of conflict. As I continued to grapple with these emotions, I realized that part of my struggle was rooted in my own expectations and desires. I had always envisioned a future where we could have a child and create a loving family together. The reality of our situation, with all its complexities and challenges, was far from that ideal. Sitting at my desk late at night, the room illuminated only by the soft glow of my desk lamp, my thoughts are as dim and uncertain as our future seems to be. My mind is a whirlpool of questions, swirling endlessly without finding any solid answers. How did we get to this point? When did our mutual dreams start to feel like battlegrounds? The issue of having a child, once a shared dream filled with hope and excitement, has become a source of division and discord. It feels like we're both holding pieces of a puzzle that no longer fit together. I love Sophia deeply, more than I ever thought possible. Our relationship has always been built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and unwavering support. Yet now, I find myself questioning everything. I wonder how I should navigate this delicate issue of starting a family without disappointing my parents, who have their own expectations and dreams for us, and without further fraying the bond between Sophia and me. I find myself trapped in a cycle of guilt and frustration. I feel guilty for wanting something that causes Sophia so much pain, and frustrated that we can't find a way to move forward together. My parents' expectations add another layer of complexity to the situation. They have their own dreams for us, dreams that include a grandchild. I don't want to disappoint them, But I also don't want to force Sophia into a situation that makes her uncomfortable. The house is silent, save for the occasional creak of the floorboards. Sophia is asleep in the next room, and I envy her ability to find some semblance of peace, even if only in sleep. I wish I could quiet my mind long enough to find some clarity. To see a way through this darkness. I love Sophia more than words can express. She is my partner, my confidant, my best friend. I want to build a future with her. A future that includes the laughter and chaos of children. But I also want her to feel safe and respected. To know that her feelings and fears are valid. As I sit there, the quiet of the night pressing in around me, I wonder how we can mend this rift. How can we find a solution that honors both of our needs and desires? Sophia and Emma's story is a deeply moving and multifaceted narrative that offers valuable lessons on relationships, love, and the challenges of starting a family. Their journey underscores the importance of understanding, empathy, and communication in overcoming personal and societal obstacles. Here are some profound lessons drawn from their experiences. One of the central lessons from Sophia and Emma's journey is the power of empathy and understanding in relationships. Initially, Emma struggled to comprehend Sophia's discomfort with IVF. To her, the procedure seemed like a logical solution to their desire for a child. However, Sophia's feelings were deeply rooted in emotional and psychological concerns, including societal expectations and traditional gender roles. Emma's journey to understanding Sophia's perspective underscores the necessity of approaching conflicts in relationships with empathy. Effective communication isn't just about talking, it's about listening deeply and validating each other's feelings. By seeking to understand Sophia's deeper fears and insecurities, Emma learned to appreciate her partner's perspective, which was crucial in finding a path forward. This lesson teaches us that empathy is a critical component of any relationship. Taking the time to truly understand a partner's feelings and concerns can help bridge gaps and resolve conflicts that may seem insurmountable. It's not enough to merely acknowledge a partner's discomfort. One must delve deeper to understand the root causes and address them compassionately. Another significant lesson from their story is the challenge of balancing family expectations with personal values and desires. Both Sophia and Emma faced considerable pressure from their parents, who had traditional views on family and parenthood. Their parents' resistance to surrogacy and insistence that one of them become pregnant highlighted the generational and cultural differences that often complicate family dynamics. This aspect of their story highlights the importance of finding a balance between respecting family opinions and staying true to one's values and needs. While family support and approval are important, personal decisions, especially those as significant as starting a family, must align with what feels right for the couple involved. Sophia and Emma's experience underscores the importance of open dialogue and finding common ground. It shows that while it's essential to consider family expectations, ultimately, the decisions about starting a family must reflect the couple's shared vision and values. This lesson is particularly relevant for anyone navigating similar pressures from family or society. Respecting individual perspectives within a relationship is another crucial lesson from their story. Sophia's discomfort with IVF was not something Emma could initially understand, but it was a deeply personal issue for Sophia. The journey to finding a solution that worked for both of them required Emma to respect Sophia's feelings, even when they didn't align with her own perspective. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.